Everyone at the party started laughing when a most dangerous mafia boss in the city walked in, holding the hand of a poor waitress. They whispered, "Is this a joke? Did he lose his mind?" But no one knew that this poor waitress was about to become the reason powerful men would fall to their knees that very night. And before the night ended, someone was going to regret laughing at her. Stay with me, because what happens next, no one in that room was ready for. And if you love stories full of power, revenge, and unexpected love, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also, before we continue, tell me in the comments which country you're watching from. I really want to see how far our stories are reaching. The phone buzzed once on the table. Ethan Cole did not look at it immediately. He was sitting in a quiet restaurant office, the kind of place where everything was clean, simple, and controlled. Outside, people laughed, plates moved, glasses clinked. Inside, there was only silence. The phone buzzed again. This time, he picked it up. One glance. That was all it took. His expression did not change, but something behind his eyes did. The message was short. "You're invited. Don't come alone. Olivia." Below it was a formal wedding invitation. Elegant, expensive, perfect. Ethan stared at the screen for a long moment. Olivia Hayes. 5 years. That was how long she had been in his life. 5 years of plans, promises, and late-night talks about a future that never happened. And then one day, she left. No warning. No explanation that made sense. Just gone. Ethan had not chased her. He had not begged. He had simply shut that part of himself down. People said he became stronger after that. More controlled. More dangerous. They were not wrong. Because Ethan Cole was not just a man. He was a name. A presence. A man people lowered their voices for. A man whose enemies watched carefully and feared quietly. And now, she was getting married. And she wanted him there. Ethan slowly placed the phone back on the table. Then picked it up again. Read the message one more time. Don't come alone. A small detail, but not meaningless. Nothing Olivia ever did was meaningless. Ethan stood up, walked to the window. The city stretched out in front of him. Lights, movement, power. His city, a place where every street, every deal, every silence somehow connected back to him. And yet, for a brief second, none of it mattered. His jaw tightened, then relaxed. Decision made. He turned back toward the table and pressed a button on the intercom. Send someone in. A few seconds later, the door opened. Mia stepped inside. She paused slightly, as she always did, observing the room. She noticed everything. The untouched drink, the still phone, Ethan standing near the window instead of sitting. Something was different. She walked forward calmly. "Sir." Ethan looked at her. Mia was not what people expected. She was a waitress. Simple background. No powerful family. No connections. Just someone who worked quietly, did her job, and stayed out of trouble. But Ethan had noticed something about her months ago. She did not panic. She did not pretend. And most importantly, she did not try to impress him. Now she stood in front of him, waiting. No questions. Just ready. Ethan walked back to the table and picked up his phone. "There's an event next week," he said. Mia nodded slightly. "What kind of event?" "A wedding." She paused. "Important?" "Yes." He looked directly at her now. "I need someone to come with me." Silence. Mia blinked once. Not shocked. Just thinking. "As what?" she asked. Ethan did not hesitate. "As my date." The room felt quieter somehow. Mia studied his face. He was serious. Completely serious. "Why me?" she asked. It was not fear. It was logic. Ethan respected that. "Because you don't pretend," he said simply. "And because I trust you to stand beside me without making it complicated." Mia let that sit for a moment. This was not normal. This was not part of her life. She worked long shifts, dealt with customers, counted tips, went home tired. That was her world. Not luxury weddings. Not powerful men. Not being someone's date in a room full of strangers who would judge every detail. And definitely not standing beside Ethan Cole. "Who's getting married?" she asked quietly. Ethan looked at the phone again, then away. "Someone from my past." That was all he said, but it was enough. Mia understood. This was not just an invitation. This was something unfinished. Something heavy. She crossed her arms slightly, thinking, If I say yes, what do you expect from me? Ethan's answer came calmly. Just be yourself. A pause. And stay beside me. Mia almost smiled. That sounds simple, she said. It isn't, Ethan replied. Another moment of silence passed. Mia looked down at the table, then back at him. Two very different worlds were standing in the same room. And for some reason, they were about to collide. All right, she said finally. I'll go. Ethan nodded once. No surprise. No reaction. But something in his posture relaxed slightly. I'll take care of everything, he added. Dress, transport, anything you need. Mia shook her head lightly. I don't need anything extra. That made him look at her again. You'll be walking into a room full of people who judge everything, he said. Mia met his gaze. Let them, she replied. For the first time, a small, real reaction crossed Ethan's face. Not a smile, but close. Good, he said. Then he picked up his phone again. And this time, he locked it. Decision final. The night of the wedding came faster than expected. A black car stopped in front of Mia's apartment. The kind of car people notice. The kind that does not belong in quiet streets. Mia stepped outside slowly. She wore a deep red dress. Simple, but perfect. Not loud, not forced. Just right. She adjusted it slightly, took a breath, and walked toward the car. The driver opened the door. She stepped in. Ethan was already inside. For a moment, he said nothing. He just looked at her. Not in a dramatic way. Not obvious. Just 1 second longer than normal. Like he had not expected this. Like something had caught him off guard. Then he looked away. You're on time, he said. Mia raised an eyebrow slightly. You sound surprised. I'm not, he replied. But his voice said otherwise. The car started moving. The city lights passed by the windows. Neither of them spoke much. But the silence was not uncomfortable. It was full, like something was building. The venue appeared ahead. Bright, elegant, huge. The kind of place where everything is designed to impress. The car stopped. Ethan stepped out first, then turned, held out his hand. Mia looked at it for a second, then placed her hand in his. Warm, steady. He helped her out of the car. And, for a brief moment, everything slowed, because standing there together, they did not look like a powerful man and a poor waitress. They looked like something else entirely. Something people notice. Something people talk about. Inside the venue, people were already watching. Whispers started quietly. Who is she? Is that Ethan Cole? He brought her. A few smirks appeared. A few amused looks. To them, it was a joke. A powerful man bringing a waitress? It didn't make sense. And people love things that don't make sense. Mia noticed the looks. Of course she did. But she didn't react. She didn't shrink. She didn't try to fit in. She simply walked beside Ethan, like she belonged there. And that confused people even more. Ethan noticed too. Every look, every whisper, every small laugh. But he said nothing, because he already knew something they didn't. This was not a joke. Not tonight. Not this time. And very soon, everyone in that room was going to understand that. But not yet. Not just yet. Because across the room, someone had just seen them. And everything was about to change. Across the room, Olivia Hayes saw them. She was standing near the center, surrounded by people, smiling, greeting guests, playing her role perfectly. Beautiful, elegant, in control. Everything about her said this was her moment. Her night, her future. And then, she saw him, Ethan Cole, standing at the entrance. And beside him, Mia. Olivia's smile did not disappear. But it changed, just slightly. The kind of change only someone very close would notice. Her eyes stayed on them a second longer than necessary, taking everything in, the way Mia stood, the way Ethan walked, the space between them. Not too close, not distant either, balanced, natural. That bothered her, because it was not what she expected. She had imagined something else. Maybe he would come alone, maybe with someone polished, perfect, predictable, someone easy to understand, someone easy to ignore. But this was different. And Olivia did not like things she could not understand. She turned back to the guest in front of her, smiled again, said the right words. But her attention was no longer there. It had shifted, completely. Meanwhile, Ethan and Mia walked further into the hall. The lights were soft, the music calm, everything carefully designed to feel expensive and important. People continued to glance at them. Some tried to hide it. Some didn't. A man near the bar leaned toward his friend. "That's him," he whispered. "The one I told you about." His friend looked, then looked again. "And that's his date." A quiet laugh followed. Not loud, but enough. Mia heard it. Of course she did. But she kept walking, her steps steady, her expression calm. Ethan noticed. "You all right?" he asked quietly. Mia nodded. "I've dealt with worse," she replied. He almost smiled. Almost. They reached the bar. Ethan ordered 2 drinks without asking. The bartender moved fast. Respectful. Careful. Everyone knew who he was. No one wanted to make a mistake around him. He handed 1 glass to Mia. Their fingers brushed slightly. Just for a second. But both of them noticed. Neither of them said anything. They moved to a nearby table. Sat down. For a moment, it felt normal. Like they were just 2 people at an event. Not part of something bigger. Not being watched. But that feeling did not last long. Because attention kept coming back to them. Again and again. Like the room could not ignore them. Mia looked at the large floral centerpiece on the table. It was too much. Flowers stacked on flowers. Decorations on decorations. Like someone tried too hard. She tilted her head slightly. "Do people actually like this?" she asked quietly. Ethan looked at it. Then at her. "No," he said. "They just pretend to." Mia smiled a little. "Good. I thought it was just me." A small pause. Then, something unexpected happened. Ethan let out a short laugh. Real. Uncontrolled. The kind that surprises even the person who makes it. Mia looked at him. Not because of the laugh, but because of what it meant. He didn't laugh like that. Not for what she had seen. Not in all the time she had known him. But right now, he did. And it changed something. Just a little. But enough. Across the room, Olivia saw that too. The laugh. The moment. Her fingers tightened slightly around her glass. She turned to the person next to her, said something, nodded, smiled, but her mind was somewhere else. Back at that table. Back at him. Back at the woman beside him. Dinner started. Guests took their seats. The room slowly settled. Speeches began. The best man spoke first. Too long. Too loud. Trying too hard to be funny. People laughed politely. Checked their phones. Waited. Mia listened for a few minutes. Then leaned slightly toward Ethan. "Does this part ever end?" she whispered. Ethan didn't look at her. "Eventually," he said. "But not soon enough." She smiled again. And once again, he noticed. More than he should. Time passed. Food came. Plates changed. More speeches. More clapping. More polite smiles. But underneath all of it, there was tension. Quiet. Invisible. But growing. Because Olivia had not moved yet. She had been watching. Waiting. Thinking. And now, she made her decision. She started walking toward their table. Slowly. Confidently. 2 friends followed behind her. Not speaking. Just observing. People noticed. Of course they did. The bride was moving through the room. And she was heading somewhere specific. Heads turned. Whispers stopped. Attention focused. Mia saw her coming. She didn't ask who it was. She already knew. Ethan felt it too. That familiar presence. That feeling of being found by someone who used to matter. He didn't turn immediately. He picked up his glass. Took a small sip. Calm. Controlled. Waiting. Olivia stopped at their table. Her smile was perfect. Practiced. Beautiful. "Ethan," she said warmly. "I'm so glad you came." Ethan looked at her. "Congratulations," he replied. Simple. Clean. Nothing extra. Her eyes shifted to Mia. Slowly. Carefully. Taking in every detail. The dress. The posture. The calm confidence. Not what she expected. Not at all. "And who is this?" Olivia asked. Her tone was light. Friendly. But underneath, there was something else. Something sharper. Ethan was about to answer. But Mia spoke first. She turned slightly toward Olivia. Met her eyes directly. Completely calm. "I'm the one sitting beside him," Mia said. A small silence followed. One of Olivia's friends shifted slightly. Another looked down at the table. Olivia's smile stayed. But it became tighter. "I meant," she said smoothly, "are you 2 together?" Mia didn't rush her answer. She looked at Ethan for a brief second. Then back at Olivia. "You invited him to your wedding," Mia said gently. "To watch you marry someone else." A pause. The air changed. "And the first thing you do when you see him," Mia continued, is ask about me. Her voice stayed soft, polite, but clear. I think the better question is why that matters so much to you. Silence. Real silence. The kind that spreads across nearby tables. People stopped eating, stopped talking, listening without looking like they were listening. Olivia's smile froze. Just for a second. Her friend said nothing. Ethan said nothing. Because there was nothing to add. Mia had already said everything. Olivia held her gaze. Long. Heavy. Then finally, she stepped back slightly. Enjoy your evening, she said. Still smiling. Still perfect, but different now. Congratulations, Mia replied calmly. Olivia turned. Walked away. Her friends followed quickly. No one spoke. Not until she was gone. At the table, Ethan set his glass down slowly. Looked at Mia. She looked back. The flowers are still too much, she said. And just like that, the tension broke. Ethan laughed again. This time, he didn't try to stop it. And this time, more people noticed. Because now, it was clear, something had changed. Something no one expected. And the night was far from over. The room did not go back to normal after that. It looked normal. People started talking again. Music played softly. Glasses moved. Laughter returned. But something had changed. Everyone had seen it. Everyone had felt it. That small moment at the table. It stayed in the air, like a question no one could ignore. Who was she? And why did she speak like that? And more importantly, why did Ethan Cole let her? Mia sat calmly, like nothing happened. She picked up her glass, took a small sip, her hands steady, her face relaxed. But inside, she knew exactly what she had done. She had crossed a line. Not loudly, not dramatically, but clearly. And she did not regret it. Ethan watched her for a moment. Not in a way others could notice. Just quietly. Thinking. Measuring. Trying to understand something he had not expected. You didn't have to do that, he said finally. His voice low. Only for her. Mia placed her glass down. I know, she replied. A small pause. But I wanted to. Ethan held her gaze for a second longer. Then nodded once. No argument. No correction. Just acceptance. And that alone said more than words. Across the room, Olivia had returned to her place. But she was not the same. Her smile came slower now. Her movements slightly sharper. Her attention divided. Her husband was speaking to someone beside him. Laughing. Relaxed. Unaware. But Olivia, she was watching again. Not openly. Not directly. But often. Too often. Her eyes kept finding them. That table. That woman. That calm confidence. It stayed in her mind. Like something unfinished. Something she could not control. And Olivia Hayes was not used to that feeling. At the table, the music changed. Softer now. Slower. The kind of music that pulls people to the dance floor. One by one, couples stood up, walked forward, started dancing. The atmosphere shifted from formal to personal. Mia watched them for a moment, then looked away. Ethan noticed. Do you dance? He asked. Mia gave a small smile. Sometimes. That's not an answer, he said. It is, she replied. He looked at her, then stood up, slowly, calmly, and held out his hand. Mia looked at it, then at him. A small pause, the kind that carries weight. Not because of what it is, but because of what it could become. You're serious? She asked quietly. Yes, Ethan said. No hesitation, no smile, just truth. Mia looked around the room. People were already dancing, watching, talking, and she knew, if she stood up, if she took his hand, this would become something bigger, something visible, something people would talk about even more. And yet, she didn't feel afraid. She felt something else, something new, something she didn't fully understand yet. She placed her hand in his. Ethan closed his fingers around hers. Warm, steady, and they walked to the dance floor. The moment they stepped onto it, people noticed. Of course they did. It was impossible not to. The powerful man, the unknown woman, now dancing together. The whispers returned, but softer this time, because curiosity had replaced mockery. Because now, no one was laughing. They started moving slowly. At first, carefully, like two people aware of the space around them. Ethan's hand rested lightly at her back. Mia's hand in his. The distance between them, proper, controlled, safe. But music does something. It changes things. It softens edges, breaks distance. And slowly, without planning it, they moved closer. Not suddenly, not dramatically, just naturally. Mia felt it first. That small shift, that change in space. She didn't pull away. Ethan noticed too, but he didn't correct it. For the first time, neither of them was thinking about the room, about the people, about the reason they were there. For a few seconds, it was just them, moving, breathing, existing in the same moment. Mia looked up slightly. Ethan looked down at the same time. Their eyes met, and something passed between them. Quiet, but real. Not planned, not controlled. Just there, across the floor. Olivia saw it, clearly, completely. Her fingers tightened around her glass again. Her jaw stiffened slightly. Because this was not an act. She knew him. She knew how he moved, how he held distance, how he protected himself. But right now, he wasn't doing that. Not fully. And that scared her more than anything. Because it meant something had changed. Something she no longer understood. Back on the dance floor, Mia made a small decision. She didn't say it, didn't show it, but she felt it. And then, she moved closer. Just a little. Enough to change everything. Ethan felt it immediately. That shift. That choice. And for a brief second, he paused. Not physically, but inside. Because this was the moment. The point where he could step back. Return to control. Return to distance. Return to what was safe. But he didn't. Instead, he moved with her. Fully. Naturally. Like it was the easiest thing in the world. His hand settled more firmly at her back. Guiding. Steady. Present. Mia followed his movement. Without hesitation. Without doubt. They turned slowly. Moved in rhythm. Like they had done this before. Like they understood each other without words. People around them began to slow. Watching. One by one. Because something about it felt different. Not dramatic. Not flashy. Just real. And real is rare. A man near the edge of the floor stopped talking. A woman beside him turned fully to watch. Someone else whispered softly. Who is she? No one had an answer. Because there was no simple answer. And that made it even more powerful. The music continued. And so did they. Mia smiled slightly. Not at the room. Not at the people. At him. Ethan saw it. And for a moment, everything else disappeared. The past. The reason he came. The woman across the room watching. All of it. Gone. Just for that moment. He forgot. Forgot why he kept distance. Forgot why he stayed controlled. Forgot why he never let anything feel too real. And that was dangerous. But he didn't stop it. He let it happen. Across the room, Olivia stood completely still. Her husband said something to her. She didn't hear it. Her eyes were locked on them. On the way Ethan held Mia. On the way Mia moved with him. On the way the room was watching them now. Not her. Not the bride. Them. And that was not part of her plan. Not at all. The music slowly came to an end. But neither of them moved immediately. Just 1 second longer. Then another. Like both of them needed that extra moment. Before reality returned. Before everything went back to normal. Finally, they stepped apart. Not far, but enough. The room reacted. Soft claps. Quiet admiration. Respect. Not loud, but real. Mia looked around briefly. Then back at Ethan. That was unexpected, she said softly. Ethan nodded. Yes. A pause. Neither of them said what they were thinking. Because they both knew something had started. Something small, but important. And once something like that starts, it doesn't easily stop. Not even when the night ends. And the night was still far from over. Because across the room, Olivia had already made another decision. And this time, it would not be polite. It would not be quiet. And it would not be easy to ignore. The music ended, but the tension did not. People slowly returned to their tables. Some were still talking about the dance. Some tried to act normal. But the truth was simple. Everyone had seen it, and no one could ignore it anymore. Ethan and Mia walked back to their table. Side by side. Calm. Controlled. But something between them had changed. Not loud. Not obvious. Just different. Mia sat down first. Ethan followed. Neither of them spoke immediately. Because both of them knew that moment on the dance floor. It meant something. And once something means something, you cannot pretend it doesn't. Mia picked up her glass. Her hand was steady, but her thoughts were not. She was not used to this. Not the attention, Not the tension. Not the feeling of being watched by a room full of strangers. And definitely not the feeling she had when Ethan held her like that. She pushed the thought away. Focused. Calm. That was how she handled things. Across the room, things were not calm. At all. A group of men stood near the bar. Well-dressed. Sharp. Watching. Not curious. Not impressed. Interested. Dangerous kind of interested. One of them leaned slightly forward. Eyes fixed on Ethan. "That's him," he said quietly. Another man nodded. And the girl. A small pause. Then a faint smile. That's the interesting part. They exchanged looks. The kind of looks people give when they're planning something. Not talking about it fully, but thinking it. Understanding it. Ethan noticed them. Of course he did. He always noticed. Without looking directly. Without reacting. But he knew. And that was enough. Mia followed his gaze for a second. She saw them too. Different from the others. Their attention was sharper. Colder. "What's wrong?" she asked quietly. Ethan took a slow sip of his drink. "Nothing yet," he replied. Mia understood that answer. It didn't mean nothing. It meant, not now, but maybe soon. She nodded slightly. Didn't ask more. She trusted his awareness. Even if she didn't fully understand his world. The room continued moving. More drinks. More conversations. More music. But underneath, there was something building. Slow. Quiet. But real. A few minutes later, one of the men from the bar started walking toward them. Alone. Confident. Calculated. Mia noticed first. Ethan didn't turn. Didn't react. Just waited. The man stopped at their table. Smiled slightly. But his eyes did not match the smile. "Ethan Cole," he said. "Didn't expect to see you here." Ethan looked up slowly. "Calm. I was invited." The man nodded. "Of course you were." His eyes shifted to Mia. Looked her up and down. Not respectfully. Not kindly. Like he was trying to understand something he didn't like. "And this is your date?" he asked. Mia met his gaze. No fear. No discomfort. Just calm. "Yes," she said. Simple. Clear. The man gave a small laugh. Not loud, but sharp. "Interesting choice," he said. The words were light, but the meaning behind them was not. Ethan placed his glass down. Slowly. "Be careful with your words," he said. Still calm, but colder now. The man smiled again. "Oh, I didn't mean anything bad," he replied. "Just surprising." Another pause. Then he leaned slightly closer. "People are talking." Ethan didn't move. "They usually do," he said. The man's eyes stayed on Mia. "For someone like you," he continued, "this kind of attention can be dangerous." Now the meaning was clear. Not a joke. Not curiosity. A warning. Or maybe a threat. Mia didn't look away. "I'm not worried," she said quietly. The man raised an eyebrow. "No." She shook her head once. "No." A small silence followed. Then Ethan spoke. "That will be all," he said. Not loud, but final. The kind of tone that doesn't ask. The man held his gaze for a second longer. Measuring. Deciding. Then he stepped back. "Enjoy your evening," he said. But this time, there was no smile. He turned and walked away. Back to the bar. Back to the others. Mia watched him go, then looked at Ethan. "That didn't feel friendly," she said. Ethan nodded. "It wasn't." A pause. "Do I need to worry?" she asked. Ethan looked at her. Directly. "No," he said. Simple. Certain. But Mia noticed something. Something small. Something he didn't say. And she understood. It wasn't that there was no danger. It was that he would handle it. Whatever it was. However it came. And for some reason, that made her feel calm. Not afraid. Just aware. Across the room, Olivia had seen everything. The man approaching. The conversation. The shift in energy. She knew those men. Not personally, but enough. They were not harmless. They did not approach people for no reason. And now, they were interested in Ethan. And Mia. Olivia's expression tightened again. Because this was no longer just about emotions. Or pride. Or the past. Now, there was risk. Real risk. And Mia was standing right in the middle of it. The music changed again. Faster this time. More energy. People started dancing again. Trying to bring life back into the room. Trying to forget the tension. But it didn't fully work. Because once people feel something, they don't forget it easily. At the table, Mia leaned back slightly. "You didn't tell me your world was like this," she said. Ethan looked at her. "You didn't ask," he replied. She smiled faintly. Fair. A pause. Then she added, but I think I understand now. Ethan watched her carefully. What do you understand? He asked. Mia took a breath. That people don't just look at you, she said. They watch you. Another pause. And they don't just talk, she added. They wait. Ethan didn't respond immediately, because she was right. More right than she should be. You're quick, he said. Mia gave a small shrug. I pay attention. That made him look at her again. Longer this time. Because that was exactly why he chose her. Not just for the event. Not just for the moment. But because she saw things clearly. Without fear. Without confusion. And that was rare. Very rare. Across the room, the group of men was still watching. Quietly. Talking among themselves. Planning. Waiting. And Ethan knew. This was not over. Not even close. Mia finished her drink. Set the glass down. Whatever happens, she said softly. I'm not leaving early. Ethan raised an eyebrow slightly. Why? He asked. Mia looked at him. Steady. Because I came with you, she said. And I'll leave with you. A simple sentence. But it carried weight. More than she realized. More than she intended. Ethan held her gaze. Then nodded once. Good, he said. And for the first time that night, something in his expression changed again. Not softer. Not weaker. But stronger. Because now, this was no longer just about a wedding. Or the past. Or proving something. Now, it was about protecting something. Something real. Something unexpected. Something that had started quietly and was now growing. And the people watching, the ones who thought this was a joke, were about to learn something important. This was not a joke. Not anymore. Not all. The night did not end after that moment. It only changed shape. Leah stood in her apartment, still feeling the warmth of his arms around her. The room was quiet, but her mind was not. Everything that happened moved again and again in her head. The road, Su Yin, the call, his voice, the way he showed up without hesitation. And then what he said, I don't want to be disciplined anymore. Not about you. Those words stayed. Heavy. Real. She walked slowly to the window. The city lights were calm, but something inside her was not calm at all. Because now everything was different. This was no longer just work. No longer just an arrangement. No longer safe. Across the city, John Min was not calm either. He sat in his car outside her building long after he left her apartment. His driver did not speak. No one spoke. Because they knew this silence. It was not empty. It was dangerous. John Min leaned back slightly, his eyes closed, but his mind was sharp. Every detail replayed. The road. Su Yin. Leah, standing there alone. That was the part he could not let go. Not the words. Not the drama. The fact that she was alone. Exposed. Seen. His phone buzzed again. This time, it was not Su Yin. It was one of his men. Sir, we have a situation. Jamin opened his eyes. What kind of situation? A short pause. Then, someone has been watching Miss Leah. Silence. Cold silence. Explain, Jamin said. We noticed a car earlier today. Same one that appeared near her office yesterday. We thought it was random. It is not random. Jamin's jaw tightened. Who? We are still checking. Another pause. But sir, it is not small. Jamin leaned forward. How not small? Professional. Careful. Not street level. That changed everything. Because this was not random jealousy. Not emotional. Not Su Yin. This was calculated. Planned. And that meant one thing. Someone was testing him. Jamin stepped out of the car. Get the car ready. Sir, where? To her. No hesitation. No delay. Leah had just turned off the lights when she heard it. A sound outside. Small, but wrong. She froze. She was not scared easily, but she trusted her instincts. And right now, something felt off. She moved quietly toward the door. Not fast. Not careless. She looked through the small camera screen. Nothing. Empty hallway. Still. Too still. Her hand slowly moved to the lock. Then, a shadow moved. Fast. Just outside the frame. Leah stepped back immediately. Her heart beat faster now. Not panic. Awareness. Someone was there. Watching. Waiting. Her phone rang. She grabbed it instantly. Hello. It's me. Jamin. Her breath slowed slightly. Are you home? Yes. Do not open the door. Her eyes went back to it. I wasn't planning to. Good. A pause. I am outside. She blinked. What? Open the door. Slowly. Leah unlocked the door carefully, opened it just enough, and saw him, standing there. Not alone. Two of his men behind him, watching everything. The hallway, the corners, the silence. Jamin stepped inside immediately. The door closed behind him. Locked. His eyes went straight to her. Did you see anyone? Just a shadow. He nodded once. That was enough. He turned slightly. Check everything. His men moved instantly. Every room, every corner, every window. Leah stood still, watching him. You came fast. I was already on my way. That was not a coincidence. That was instinct. He looked at her again. Longer this time. Did you feel afraid? Leah thought for a second, then shook her head slightly. No. Another pause. I felt watched. Jamin's expression changed. That word mattered. Watchman planned. Not random. One of his men returned. Nothing inside. Another one came back. Outside is clear for now. For now, Jamin repeated. That word mattered too, because it meant this was not over. He walked closer to Leah. Not too close, but enough. This is no longer simple. I know. They are not after you. Leah held his gaze. They are after you, through me. He did not deny it, because it was true. A quiet moment passed. Then she asked, who would do this? Jamin did not answer immediately, because the answer was not small. There are many people who would like to see me lose control. And you think this will do it? He looked at her again. Yes. Simple answer. Because it was true. Leah crossed her arms slightly, thinking, so what happens now? Jamin did not hesitate. You don't stay alone. She raised an eyebrow slightly. That's not happening. I'm not asking. And I am not agreeing. Silence. Tension. But not anger. Respect. He stepped closer. Just a little. Leah. His voice was calm, but serious. This is not about control. This is about safety. I can handle myself. I know you can. A pause. That is not the point. She looked at him carefully, trying to understand what he was not saying. Then she asked quietly, were you not telling me? That question hit, because she always saw more than others. Jamin exhaled slowly. They are not watching you to scare you. Then why? Another pause. To see how far I will go for you. Silence. That landed heavy. Leah's voice was softer now. And how far will you go? Jamin looked at her. No hesitation. No limit. The room felt different after that. Not louder. Not dramatic. But deeper. More real. Outside, far down the street, a car engine started. Quiet. Controlled. Someone had been there. Watching. Waiting. And now, leaving. Inside, Jamin turned toward the door. They will try again. Leah nodded. I know. He looked back at her one last time before moving. And next time, a short pause. It won't be just watching. Leah did not look away. Good. That surprised him. Why good? Because now I know it's real. A small silence. Then, he almost smiled. Not fully, but enough. Because for the first time, he was not the only one ready. The next morning did not feel normal. Nothing was broken. Nothing looked wrong. But everything had changed. Leah woke up earlier than usual. Not because she had to, because her mind did not let her sleep longer. She sat on the edge of her bed for a few seconds. Quiet. Thinking. The shadow outside her door. The call. The way Jamin said, no limit. That line stayed with her. It was not dramatic. It was not loud. But it was real. And she understood what it meant. She got ready for work like always. Simple clothes. Clean. Nothing extra. But today she checked the window twice. Checked the hallway before stepping out. Not fear. Awareness. When she opened the building door, she saw them. Two men. Standing near a black car. Not hiding. Not pretending. Watching. Leah stopped for half a second. Then continued walking. Straight. Calm. Like nothing was wrong. One of the men opened the car door for her. Miss Leah. Respectful. Controlled. She looked at him. I didn't ask for a driver. You didn't need to. She already knew. Jamin. She got into the car. Not arguing. Because now she understood. This was not about choice anymore. This was about survival. Inside the car, everything was quiet. Clean. Safe. But her thoughts were not quiet. She looked out the window. The same city. Same roads. But now it felt different. Like something invisible had started. Her phone buzzed. A message. From Jamin. You move with protection now. No exceptions. She typed back. You don't trust me? Reply came instantly. I don't trust them. She didn't respond again. Because that answer said enough. At the same time, across the city, Jamin stood in a large, quiet room. Not an office. Not a public place. This was different. Private. Cold. A man was sitting in front of him. Hands tied. Face calm. Too calm. Jamin looked at him for a long moment. Then spoke. You were watching her. Not a question. A statement. The man smiled slightly. Maybe. Jamin did not react. Who sent you? Silence. Then, wrong question. Jamin stepped closer. Very slow. Then give me the right one. The man leaned back slightly. Relaxed. You should be asking, why her? Jamin's eyes darkened slightly. I already know why. Do you? A small pause. Then the man said, because she matters. Silence. Jamin did not deny it. Did not react. But the room felt colder. The man continued. You build a life where nothing touches you. No weakness. No mistakes. A small smile. Then suddenly, you walk into a room with her. Another pause. And everything changes. Jamin spoke quietly. You talk too much. The man laughed softly. And you care too much. That was the mistake. The exact moment the line was crossed. Jamin moved fast. His hand grabbed the man's collar. Pulled him forward. Not violent. Controlled. But dangerous. Listen carefully, Jamin said. Very calm. Very clear. You don't get to speak about her. The man's smile disappeared. Just a little. Because now, he understood something. This was not a game. Jamin let him go slowly. Step back. Last chance. Who sent you? Silence. Longer this time. Then, North Group. That name changed everything. Jamin straightened slightly. No reaction on his face. But inside, that name mattered. Because North Group was not small. Not careless. Not emotional. They were smart. Patient. Dangerous. Why now? Jamin asked. The man hesitated. Just a second. That you'll find out soon. Wrong answer. Jamin turned away. Take him. His men stepped forward. The man spoke quickly. You think protecting her will save her? Jamin stopped walking. Did not turn. The man continued. You brought her into your world. A small pause. You made her visible. Silence. Then Jamin said, no. A small pause. I made you visible. He walked out. Back in the car, Leah arrived at the office. Everything looked normal. People working. Phones ringing. Routine. But the moment she stepped out, eyes turned. Not loud. Not obvious. But different. Because now, people knew. She was not just an assistant. She was something more. She walked inside. Straight. Calm. Ignoring everything. At her desk, there was a box. Small. Black. No label. She stopped. Looked at it. Did not touch it. Her phone rang. Jamin. Don't open anything on your desk. Too late. She was already looking at it. I haven't touched it. Good. His voice was sharper now. Step away. Leah stepped back immediately. Her eyes stayed on the box. Within minutes, his men were there. Fast. Controlled. One of them carefully moved the box. Another scanned it. Silence. Then, it's clean. Leah frowned slightly. Then why send it? The box was opened slowly. Inside, there was only one thing. A small card. Jamin arrived at that exact moment. Walked straight in. Picked up the card. Read it. Once. Then again. His face did not change. But his grip tightened slightly. Leah stepped closer. What does it say? He looked at her. Then handed it over. She read it. Slowly. You protect her. We test you. Let's see how far this goes. Silence. Heavy silence. Leah looked up. That's not a threat. Jamin nodded slightly. No. A pause. It's a game. And that was worse. Because games last longer. Games are planned. Games don't end quickly. Leah placed the card down. Calm. Then we don't play their game. Jamin looked at her. And what do we do? She held his gaze. We changed the rules. A small silence. Then, for the first time, he smiled slightly. Real. Because that answer, he liked. But outside, far away, someone else was watching, listening, waiting. And this time, they were not testing anymore. They were preparing. The game did not wait. It moved fast. That same evening, the city felt different again. Not louder, not dangerous on the surface, but underneath, something was building. Leah stayed late at the office. Not because she had work, because she was thinking. The card, the message, the idea of a game. She did not like it, because games mean control, and she did not like being controlled. Her phone buzzed. A message from Min. "I'll pick you up." She stared at it, then typed back, "I can go home myself." A few seconds passed. Then, "I know. Still. Wait." She didn't reply, but she stayed. Outside the building, 3 black cars waited, engines running, lights off. Inside one of them, a man watched the entrance. Calm, patient, his eyes never moved. Back inside, Leah stood near the window. Looking down, she saw the cars, recognized them. Min. But then, she noticed something else. A car across the street, not moving, lights off, too still. Her eyes narrowed slightly. Something felt wrong. Again. She picked up her phone. Min, I'm outside. There's another car. Silence. What kind? Dark. Parked across the street. Not yours. A pause. Then, stay inside. Outside, Min's expression changed immediately. He turned to his men. Car across the street. Check it. 2 men moved instantly. Fast. Quiet. The other car did not move, did not react. Too calm. Leah watched everything from above. Her heart steady, but alert. Then, something happened. Fast. The parked car door opened. 3 men stepped out. Not slow, not careful, direct. Weapons visible. Leah froze. Min, I see them. His voice was calm. Too calm. Stay inside. Lock everything. Outside, everything changed in seconds. Min stepped out of his car. His men spread instantly. Positions, angles, control. The 3 men moved forward. No words, no warning. Gunshots. Sharp, loud, echoing across the street. Inside, Leah stepped back from the window. Her heart jumped now. Not fear, reality. This was real. Outside, chaos, but controlled chaos. Min did not move randomly. Every step was precise. Every movement planned. One attacker dropped. Fast. The second tried to move around the side. Min saw it. Before it happened. Another shot. Clean. The third man ran. Not fighting anymore. Running. Min didn't chase. He watched. Let him run. Because sometimes, you let one go, so the message spreads. Silence returned slowly, but not fully. Leah stood still inside, listening, waiting. Her phone rang. Min. It's over. She closed her eyes for a second, then opened them. I'm coming down. No, I'm not staying here. A pause. Then, fine, come. She moved quickly, down the stairs, through the hallway, out the main door. And then, she saw it. The street. Not normal anymore. Broken glass. A car door open. 2 bodies on the ground. Still. And Min, standing in the middle of it. Calm, like nothing touched him. Their eyes met. He walked toward her immediately. Fast. Are you okay? Yes. Did you see anything? I saw enough. A short silence. She looked around again, then back at him. This is what your world looks like. Not a question. A statement. He didn't deny it. Yes. Another silence. Then she said, good. That surprised him. Again. Good. Yes. A pause. Because now I understand exactly what I'm standing in. Min looked at her carefully. Longer this time. Most people would walk away. I'm not most people. That answer stayed. Sirens in the distance. Coming closer. Min turned to his men. Clear everything. They moved instantly. Efficient. No panic. Leah stepped closer to him. Lower voice now. This wasn't random. No. They escalated. Yes. She crossed her arms slightly, thinking, so what do we do now? Min looked at the street, then at her. We end it. Simple. Direct. Final. Leah held his gaze. And how do you end something like this? A small pause. Then, you don't react. Another pause. You take control. She nodded slowly, understanding. But then, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She looked at it, then at him. Should I answer? Jamin's eyes sharpened slightly. Yes. She answered, put on speaker. Silence for a second, then a voice. Calm, cold. You learn fast. Leah didn't speak immediately. Who is this? A small laugh. Someone who just proved a point. Jamin stepped closer, listening. The voice continued. You see now, don't you? A pause. This is not a game anymore. Leah's voice stayed steady. It never was. Another small laugh. I like her. Silence. Then, let's see how long you survive in his world. The line cut. No goodbye. No warning. Just silence again. Leah lowered the phone slowly. Jamin looked at her. That was them. I know. A long pause. Then she said, they're not trying to scare us. No, they're trying to break us. Jamin nodded once. Yes. She looked at him. Clear. Direct. Then they picked the wrong people. Another silence. But this one felt different. Because now, it was no longer just his fight. It was theirs. And somewhere, watching from the shadows, the real enemy smiled. Because the next move would not be small. It would be personal. The night after the attack was not quiet. It only looked quiet. Leah did not go home. She stayed. In Jamin's world now. Not as a guest. Not as an employee. But as someone inside the center of it. The building was large. Silent. Every corner controlled. Every door watched. Leah stood near the window again. She noticed something. This time, she was not checking for danger. She was understanding it. Behind her, Jamin walked in. No sound, but she felt it. You should rest, he said. I will. A pause. Later. He didn't argue, because he knew she would not rest until this ended. He stepped beside her, both of them looking out at the city. For years, he said quietly, I controlled everything. A pause. No mistakes. No risks. Leah didn't look at him. And now. Another pause. Now they found one. Silence. She turned slightly. I'm not your weakness. He looked at her. No. A small pause. You're the reason they think I have one. That was the truth. And both of them understood it. A man entered the room. Fast. Controlled. Sir, we found them. Everything stopped. Jamin turned. Where? Warehouse. Old district. Leah stepped closer. Let's go. Jamin looked at her. No. She didn't move. You said this ends. Yes. Then I'm coming. Silence. This was not a simple moment. This was a line. He stepped closer. Lower voice. This is not safe. She held his gaze. Neither is standing still. Another silence. Then, he made a decision. Stay behind me. That was not permission. That was acceptance. And they moved. The cars drove fast. Through empty roads. No lights. No noise. Inside the car, no one spoke. Leah sat still. Not scared. Focused. Jamin looked forward. But his attention was everywhere. They arrived. The warehouse stood alone. Dark. Quiet. Too quiet. Jamin stepped out first. His men followed. Positions set. Weapons ready. Leah stepped out last. Watched everything. Learned everything. Stay here, he said again. She didn't argue, but she didn't step back far either. The doors opened. Slow. Heavy. Inside, dim lights. Shadows. Movement. And then, a voice. You finally came. A man stepped forward. Clean suit. Calm face. No fear. This was not a small player. Jamin stopped walking. You wanted my attention? The man smiled. I already had it. A pause. His eyes moved. To Leah. So this is her. Silence. Jamin stepped slightly in front of her. Without thinking. The man noticed. Smiled wider. Interesting. Leah spoke. Say what you came to say. That caught him off guard. Just a little. You're not afraid? No. A small laugh. I like that. Jamin's voice cut in. Enough. Silence dropped again. Heavy. The man stepped closer. Slow. Do you know why this started? Jamin didn't answer. Because you became untouchable. A pause. No mistakes. No losses. No weaknesses. He looked at Leah again. Until now. Leah didn't react. You think this is about her, the man continued. It's not. Another pause. It's about balance. Jamin stepped forward. One step. That ends tonight. The man smiled again. No. A pause. Tonight it begins. And then, everything exploded. Lights cut. Darkness. Gunshots. Fast. Loud. Close. Chaos. Leah moved instantly. Not frozen. Not confused. She dropped behind cover. Jamin moved like he always did. Precise. Deadly. This was not panic. This was control. Men fell. Voices shouted. Footsteps echoed. Leah saw one man coming from the side. Gun raised. She didn't think. She acted. She grabbed a metal bar from the ground. Stepped forward. Hit him. Hard. He dropped. She breathed once. Fast. Then moved again. Across the room. Jamin saw it. Saw her. Not afraid. Not weak. Fighting. Something shifted inside him. Deep. The lights came back. Slow. The noise stopped. Bodies on the ground. Silence. Only one man left standing. The leader. Jamin walked toward him. Slow. The man was bleeding, but still smiling. You see, he said weakly, she changes everything. Jamin stopped in front of him. No. A pause. She reveals everything. Silence. The man laughed softly. Then, nothing. He dropped. It was over. The warehouse was quiet again. Leah stood still, breathing slowly. Jamin turned to her. Walk closer. Are you hurt? No. A pause. You shouldn't have been here. She looked at him. And you shouldn't have been alone. Silence. Then, for the first time, no walls, no control, no distance. He stepped closer, pulled her into him. Tight, real, no performance, no reason to hide. Almost lost you, he said quietly. You didn't. Another pause. I won't. She didn't answer. She didn't need to. Because both of them knew. This was not temporary. This was real. Days later, the city returned to normal. On the outside. But inside, everything had changed. No more games. No more shadows. And no more pretending. Leah stood beside him again. Not behind. Not distant. Equal. And this time, when people looked at them, they didn't laugh. They understood. The Mafia boss did not choose her as a joke. He chose her because she was the only one strong enough to stand in his world and change it. And just like that, everything changed. What started as a simple arrangement, a fake date, turned into something no one expected. Not his enemies. Not the people watching. Not even them. They thought she was a joke. They thought she was weak. They thought she would break. But in the end, she became the one thing no one could touch. And he, the man who never let anyone close, finally found someone worth risking everything for. Because sometimes, the most powerful love stories don't start with love. They start with a choice. And that one choice changes everything. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more powerful, emotional Mafia romance stories like this.